This is Williams, and I'm teaching general biology, advanced genetics, and we're continuing on from previous advanced genetics lessons. I want to introduce this disclaimer. Make sure you take notes of all definitions and work out the steps to the problems. This will be stamped for completion and correctness at the beginning of class. There are no exceptions to this. If you don't have it, you don't get a stamp, you do not get a grade. Over the last few weeks, we have discussed advanced genetics phenomena. We have covered mutations, phenotypes, genotypes, sex-linked traits, sex chromosomes, and autosomes. Today, we will move on to something fun. But first, I want to share a cute story about when I was little. Every time I saw a cow, I thought the sound it made was what it was supposed to be called. Therefore, I called all cows moo-moos. I was so obsessed with cows that I told my mom I was going to marry a cow and be a doctor for a horse when I grew up. Now, obviously, it is illegal to marry cows, so I didn't do that, but I am going to incorporate them into this lesson. Look at this cool moo-moo. What was the probable fur phenotype of the moo-moo's mommy and daddy? What are the three possible fur color phenotypes of the moo-moo's babies if it mated with a moo-moo of the same color? Let's review a few topics. First, an allele is one of two or more genes on a chromosome. A phenotype is the outward appearance of an allele. Genotype is the actual gene that is coding for a specific trait. Each genotype is determined by the chromosome given from both parents. So the phenotype is what we actually see. The genotype is going to dictate which allele is being used. Let's break down question 1. What was the probable fur phenotype of the moo-moo's mommy and daddy? Well, first, let's go back and think about other monohybrid crosses that we've looked at before, where two parents' genotypes ended up having one exact phenotype of the offspring. There wasn't any blending, there was just one color, not two distinct different colors, so we need to look at this cow and this information as new information and think about it that way. First, let's designate a symbol for the fur phenotype. What do we see when we look at the cow? Are they blended into one color or two distinct colors? I think it's pretty clear there are two distinct colors, red and white. Now, some people might call that brown, but in the cow world, it is red. Let's call this genotype RW. The red and the white, what you see is the phenotype. The genotype is designated by that symbol, RW, meaning you see both red and white. Do you think this cow came from a similar cow? Sure, maybe. So maybe the mom is RW, and the dad is also RW. In order to verify this, let's move to the second question and get some data. Now on to question 2 for a deeper understanding of the content. What are the three possible fur color phenotypes of the moo-moo's babies if it mated with a moo-moo of the same fur color, meaning if they both had the same phenotype? Now, for whatever reason in my picture here, each time I upload it, the letters aren't correct, so I'm going to walk you through it so that you can correct it here. So, remembering our skills from a monohybrid cross, we will use a Punnett square to evaluate the RW and RW cross. RW meaning red and white viewed at the same time. I color-coded the answers so you can visualize what the color of the baby's phenotypes are. Now, the top of the Punnett square should have an R over the first column and a W over the second column. Looking to the left of the Punnett square, there should be a green R, which I don't know where it went. It keeps disappearing when I upload this, so I apologize. And then below that, for the next row, a green W. Now, inside of the Punnett square, you should have an RR, which stands for red, red. So each parent gave a red allele to their offspring. Then you're going to look to the right, and you see RW, meaning that one parent, the parent that has the disappearing green R, donated an R allele, and then the parent on the top gave a W, a white allele. Same thing with the bottom left square in the Punnett square, the RW. The parent on the top of the Punnett square gave the R, and the parent to the left of the Punnett square gave the W. Now, looking at the very last square there, WW means that each parent gave a W allele or a white allele. So looking at this, you would say, okay, I have a 25% probability that the offspring will be red in phenotype, a 25% that the offspring will have a white phenotype, and then a 50% probability that the offspring will be RW, meaning that you will see both red and white colors at the same time. So, in conclusion, two RW phenotype moo-moos can produce offspring that will have a 25% probability of being red or white, or a 50% probability of being RW, red and white. This is evidence to support our first answer that the parents could be RW. We now know they could have been RR or WW, meaning that the parent could have been all red or all white. So, with this information, we can go back and look at the cow in a new understanding, and we're going to figure out what exactly this is called. So what exactly does all of this information mean? Red cows crossed with white will generate roan cows. So that's what that cow in the picture is called, a roan. Roan refers to a cow that have red coats with white blotches. It makes a pretty cool moo-moo. RW times RW, or that equation there, is one roan cow mating with another roan cow will have a fourth red offspring, half roan offspring, or a fourth white offspring. This means that each time they breed, there's a probability of them having a fourth red, a fourth white, or half roan. That does not mean that out of all the times they breed, they will only have a fourth red babies, a fourth white babies, and half roan babies. That means each time they breed, this Punnett square can be applied to that offspring. And then if they breed again, that Punnett square will be applied again. So overall, when you see both alleles, both phenotypes shining through, this is called codominance. Both alleles can be expressed or visible at the same time. When you think of codominance, think of this cow, or think of cow dominance, moo. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, as always, you can email me or we can discuss it further in class. Be prepared to have a fantastic activity, like always, in class tomorrow, and bring your notes.